Come on, little computer. You can do it. You can do it. I believe. I believe in the computer. Please tell me you're working now. We're trying everything. And we did a set. Alright. Believe we should have sound too. Was that really it? I just needed to turn everything off. My OBS crashed. That's what that was. Oddly enough, I still have everybody. Not the live stream now? Uh-oh. Go to the very end of the stream. Sound is on. Oh no. Is everybody behind? I got the work in, Tommy. I got the work in. I went and did a set. 310 never moved so easy. Is it maybe a 7.5? Well, they're trying to steal my gains. They are. The internet goblins trying to steal them. It is live now. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. There is a small chance it might happen again, because that was not... I don't think it was the internet. I think it was my my computer fighting back. I deleted a whole bunch of stuff. I've been deleting stuff. Way too much hard drive use. My computer keeps having all these, it makes temporary files, which I didn't realize. It makes temporary files for all the videos that I edit. And so I had a whole lot of things that were just cluttering up the hard drive, and I'm still in the process. It took like 22 hours to delete a whole bunch of them, and we're still doing it to try and speed up how my computer goes. Plus, I'm still stuck on this Wi-Fi connection because this computer doesn't have an Ethernet port. So I have a router right next to me, but I'm still trying to get it hooked up, and I have to order some stuff. But we're going now. And you guys missed because I had the stream off to reset the OBS. 310 Spoto Press. Last week 315 felt like I was going to die on the third rep. This time everything felt really solid, which is good. That is a good thing. So we're going to go 280 for 3 sets of 5 with the Spoto. And I can still see all the questions from before, but I'm going to let people re-ask ones that they feel like I didn't get to. So AZ, I was answering a question about the music and a cappella performances. I've been singing just about as long as I've been lifting. Started when I was a little kid singing in church. And so it's kind of gone from there. And then I ended up going to school for that and spent 7 years at a university for vocal performance. So got into a cappella groups while I was there. And that's the situation. That's where we're at now. So now we've got an album out. Now we do gigs, and that's what's up. Tiggle Biddy, you have a question about sumo? Go ahead and throw it up. I'm gonna change the weight and do my first back off set of the Spoto Press. I could pause those longer. How do I increase hip mobility? It feels like I can't keep my chest upright. And when I start the pull, I feel a lot of pressure on the outside of my left foot, and it starts to hurt. Check out the video that I made in the Coaching Tips with Ben section of my channel about glute and hip mobility. That is what I would recommend to increase the mobility in that particular area. Then I would recommend just playing around with different positions. Sometimes if you're starting with your hips too low for your current mobility level, you may be putting a little bit of extra pressure on your lower back, which is not allowing you to get into a good starting position, because having a neutral spine is more important than having your hips low and close to the bar. So you need your spine to be neutral. You want to build up your hip mobility and your glute mobility so that you can get into as ideal of a position as you possibly can. And then you also have to make sure that your back is straight. If your back isn't straight, then you're going to load some things weird, and you might compensate by pushing in weird ways. In terms of why the outside of your foot is hurting, do you have like a knee injury or something that's associated with, like, is that a kind of consistent problem that you have? And I would say you could consider the distribution of the weight on your feet. You should be feeling your feet. And a lot of people, when they recommend to kind of push out with their feet, they overdo it. And so all of their weight ends up getting put on the outside of their foot, and they lose their balance, and they lose their contact with the ground, and their stability is gone. So something to keep in mind. It's hard to say without seeing it, and that's one of the biggest issues. Trying to see my games. Adelson, Jordan. Oh, you're not talking to me. That's cool. I actually like that you guys can have intra-stream conversations too. Jordan, how necessary do you feel tricep accessories such as skull crushers are? I've never had issues with my lockout strength. If you've never had issues with something, then I wouldn't say they're all that necessary, right? Having strong triceps is always beneficial. I think you can make your triceps stronger very strong by making sure that you lock out all your presses. And for some people it's a weakness and they really need to work on it. For some people it's not a problem at all. And so my biggest way to decide whether or not you should be doing something that you're not doing in your training is to be honest and assess why something is in your training program. And if you can't defend it, if there's not a good reason for having it in there, then maybe ask yourself, is it taking space away from something else that could happen? Because you have a limited amount of recovery. You can only recover so much from the work you do. And so anything you have in your program that's kind of fluff work or is there where you could put something that's going to be more directly beneficial to you, you want to avoid getting stuck in the bad habit of having things in your program that are there just because you feel like they're supposed to be, if you can't trace it back to a very good reason. So, take old Betty, most likely not feeling your feet. Yeah, you're basically described. I was actually thinking about right when I was doing it. After, I've got 2 more sets of these Spoto presses, and then I'm going to set up a bar for my conventional deadlifts. And I will talk through a little bit of how I like to try and set up my sumo deadlifts as well, and see if that helps. Adelson, are you familiar with Larry, and do you think all the talk about his potential 10 times body weight total, do you believe it's even feasible? Are you talking about Larry Wheels? Because I don't know if you saw what happened this weekend, but Larry's going to be a couple steps away from any kind of total for a bit. He hurt himself, and I wish him a speedy recovery, but he took a pretty hard fall with a lot of weight on his back. So, yeah, you just have to be I don't wish harm on any person, especially in this sport. It could be here today, gone tomorrow kind of thing. I think Larry's one of the most incredible physical specimens I've ever seen. I think he's very strong. I think he, before we know what happened. Yeah, Larry hurt himself. He was at the American Open. He got to the bottom of his 3rd attempt on the squat, shifted to the right, and went down with what I can only imagine was over 800 pounds on his back, and pulled out of the meet. So he didn't post the total. Thomas, greetings from Denmark, Master One Power. Hey, welcome. Thanks for joining the stream. Tommy Boy, some say that squatting with wraps damages your knees over time. Do you have any anecdotes to share on this? No. Compression, in my experience, tends to be beneficial. So I used to squat in wraps. I never had any recurring knee issues during it. I think that squatting with poor technique in any situation, whether your knees have heavy compression on them or not, is going to degrade your knees more than wrapping them for powerlifting. I think in general, powerlifting at a certain level is kind of beats up on your body. So I mean, there's risk associated with everything we do, right? You get under a squat bar, and Larry's a good example of that. Very strong. Happened to Brandon Lilly, got to the very bottom of a squat a few years ago, and knees went out, and I don't think that was because his knees were wrapped. So there's inherent risk in what we do. It's dangerous. I'm gonna hit you guys back after this second set here. I need to turn this on. Too shabby. I think the learning curve on Spoto Press is really quick because these are way easier than they were last week, even with more weight on the bar. And yesterday's session was really brutal. I almost didn't make it through. Okay, Robbie. Hey, 190 kg deadlift with a 83 kg good for a 17-year-old? I mean, is it good for you, or is it that's the... Depends. Depends on your context. I think that anybody who I have mad respect for anybody who puts time and effort and work into strength training and bettering themselves. And impressive is a very relative term, or good. I guess good is a very relative term. It's better than guys who don't train, so therefore it's good, right? You're in the top 5 percentile of the world with something like that. So. I wouldn't focus so much on comparing yourself to other, and this is not me trying to like put you down. I think it's a good habit to get into, to compare yourself to your previous self, and to not worry about what other people think, and to not worry about a whole bunch of other aspects that are external. Focus on working the best that you can to be the best person that you can in all those sorts of things. So, I hope that's a good enough. Do I think it's good? Yes. In terms of relative to you as a person, do I think it's a good representation of what a lifter in that range could do? I'm not super familiar with that age, weight, and weight range anymore. Ben Harms, how often you drink? Drink of choice? I drink water, usually with Crystal Light. I drink Monster Ultra Blue. Occasionally I drink skim milk, and that is really it. I don't drink alcohol, not for any reason other than I've never been at all interested in drinking. So I've got friends who do. My girlfriend does occasionally, and I've gone to, I've gone out with her to the bars. When I was an RA in college, I'd go out with my coworkers, and they go to the bars. I've been around it. I've DD'd for people. I've just never drank myself. So. Robert, how are you finding Spoto Press? Honestly, this week is a lot easier than I expected, because last week it felt pretty horrible. So I might be rushing my pauses. I'm supposed to be pausing for 2 seconds off the chest, and I might be rushing that because when I get caught up in trying to move quickly, sometimes I lose that. So we'll see. I think I'm getting better in the last 2 weeks because I do have the Spoto Press today, and then on Thursday I have my t-shirt benching where I don't let it sink at all. And that's been helping me build up my stability and comfort with kind of that partial range and trying to keep that tension up there. So I think it's getting better. Magnus, hey guys, I really want to deadlift today, but I'm feeling kind of feeling sick, should I do it? Did I see that you train at home? Kind of sick is a relative term, right? How sick are you? If you feel... I'm actually going to make a video about this. I have 10 videos I want to make. One of my lifters recently got sick, and he asked if he should train, and my answer is, if you ever have the question, if you ever are wondering whether I should train or if I'm too sick, but you still are seriously considering going to train, go into train, and first of all, cut all of your expectations down from the day, and if you have your program of what you're going to be working to, make sure that you don't go anything over like an 8 or a 9 RPE. Never, if your normal working sets are going up and it feels harder than a 9, then you probably shouldn't. If you still want to keep going, take whatever weight that was, take your normal sets, take off 10%, and do your normal work 10% lower than it was. And if that gets up to an 8 or a 9, then you should cut it for the day. It's better to rest and recover and be able to practice the lifts without having extreme breakdown. And if you're just beat up to the point where your ability to perform is over 10% lower than usual, then you are not getting a whole lot out of that training session except for delaying your recovery and increasing the fatigue debt that your body's already in and trying to fight off the sickness with. So, Jordan, do you use wrist wraps as a precautionary measure due to wrist pain? I don't have wrist issues and don't wear wraps. Any reason I should? It's precautionary for me. I've never really had too much of an issue with wrist pain, but I also do when I press. I've switched to, I wrap a little bit tighter and I have my hand cocked back a little bit, just for the angle that I hold the bar. I didn't used to do that. It used to be a lot more in line and the wraps were much less necessary, but because of the way I hold the bar now, wrist wraps are very helpful for that, and so it's precautionary. Same thing with the elbow sleeves. Normally I would be wearing these for my normal working reps, and I normally would not be pausing most of my working reps on my chest because I like to kind of preventative approach when it comes to elbow pain, but so far it's not a big issue. Yeah, Robbie, thanks a lot. Yeah, I'm sorry if my answer wasn't super helpful, Robbie. I just think you should focus on yourself and not worrying about what other people think or whether or not something's impressive. I was never accused of being genetically gifted or being impressively strong until I'd been lifting for over 10 years. So if you're looking to me as an example of someone who has achieved a lot in this sport, no one was really saying that until I'd been lifting for 10 years, that I had potential. So, William, Night Fellows, thanks for answering. You're welcome, sir. Have a good night. Oh yeah, you're over in you're 2 hours ahead. Good night, man. Thanks for hanging out. Tony, hey Ben, tweaked my back last week, 7 weeks out, but this week feels better and was able to start lifting again. What's the best way to get back into it without losing too much fitness? Make sure that you're being very careful. I would say, usually I think the protocol, it depends on the lifter and depends on why your back hurt and where it hurt and how serious it is. So this is not medical advice. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physical therapist. And so you should not take what I'm saying as the gospel truth on the way to go about a back injury that's very serious. But if you are comfortable to start lifting again, then I would say just be very careful, be very aware of your positioning. Don't be afraid to take weight off the bar, because it is much better to go into the meet having not trained as much as you want, but be healthy and heal your back, than it is to go in and be flirting around and potentially hurt yourself to the point where you have to pull out of the meet or you're not able to lift at all. So this is a long-term commitment sort of sport. No one meet is the big meet for most people most of the time, and so you have to treat yourself in that kind of context for the mindset. So no one meet is worth not being able to walk for the rest of your life. So be very careful and just make sure that your expectations and your reality are balanced, and understand that it's better to play it a little bit safer and not risk opening your back up to more injury by jumping back into things too quickly. So cut your volume down from your expectations. What you'd like to get to is have a couple of sessions that feel too easy so you can start adding weight back and build some confidence, and make sure that because it's easy to add more weight when things are too easy. When you go too far and you overstep your current state and you hurt yourself worse, it's really hard to backpedal from that. So just keep that in mind. It's always a good thing to have things feel too easy and be able to step it up a little bit in the future, way more so than it is to overshoot yourself. So last set of Spoto Press, and we'll move on to the deadlifts. Not too bad. Lap. No other questions yet? Magnus, Ben, you are really genetically gifted. Not many people would be able to sustain the training volume and loads you do without getting seriously injured. I've been injured. I've been injured a lot of times, and I've been doing this for almost 18. It's not from a decade of hard work. It's from almost 2 decades of hard work. What I was saying is that no one thought that I was impressive until I'd been lifting for almost 10 years. And then I've put in 7 years after that to get to the point that I'm at. And the numbers that I was doing before, there were many, many other lifters who started out and were able to achieve those very quickly. So, DeFido, give us a curl with that 135, Ben. I've curled 135 before, but that's one of those things where you're just asking yourself for injury. There's no reason for me to be doing that. We've got some real light hammer curls after all the deadlifting and stuff is done that I'll be doing, so worry not. There will be curls in this session, but not silly ones that could risk tearing a bicep. Yeah, Magnus, I think that what I do, I think that a lot of my ability to recover has come from not just years and years of practice, but messing up, getting hurt, falling back a little bit, and taking a more consistent, slow, patient approach. I think my real gift genetically is the patience that I have. I think that for a long time has been a really I think that's been the biggest key, because I think a lot of lifters could work their way up to the things that I'm doing now over the course of 20 years. I don't think that that's exceptional. I don't think that I'm more gifted than an average person. I think that an average person could absolutely do what I do. It might take them 20 years to do it, because it's taken me 20 years to do it. But I think that's the biggest difference. So, and it does. I mean, ultimately, when you think about it, The one thing, whether someone does have superior genetics or are really assisted by their genetics, no one can ever change their genetic situation. And so that's one of the only things that it doesn't help. So it doesn't help to think about it. Just do what you can and work what you can and try to avoid comparing yourself to anybody else, because you can never have a point where you just get their genetics and see what it's like. All you can do is push yourself and make the best decisions that you can with the circumstance you have and with the time that you're given. That's my quote at the end of all my regular videos, is all we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. It doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter what your genetic potential is. It doesn't matter what your capabilities are. The only thing you have control over is your work ethic and the decisions that you make. And some people don't have as much freedom in all of their decisions, but that's, I think, a bigger portion of someone's potential growth than the genetics that they have. So that's Japan. Jordan, I use straps for most of my deadlift work, but try to do at least one, usually the first working set hook grip. Do you think this is a decent way going about things? I never use straps. That is one of the things that I am very adamantly against. When my lifters use them, I make them tell me an extremely good reason why. My biggest thing that I would say when it comes to strap use, if you're a hook grip lifter, I can see that can be a beneficial training tool to allow you to use more volume. I still do all of my back off work with an over-under grip to improve my grip and to work on feeling that lat tightness. If you can't, I mean, if you're if you're a hook grip puller, I can see the case that using straps may work, but don't ever complain about missing a lift because of your grip if you ever use straps. Ever. Ben gets triggered when people complain that their grip gave out if they ever use straps. Because if your grip is strong enough to not have to use straps, then you should never use them, because your grip is strong enough to do the work without them. And if your grip isn't strong enough that you need to use straps so that you can just hold onto the bar, if you're a competitive power lifter and part of the deadlift is being able to hold onto the bar, then using straps is intentionally giving yourself a handicap, because you're increasing the distance between what your back is able to handle and what you're able to lift and what you're able to hold on to. I think that your deadlift is only as strong as your grip is, and so whenever someone says, "Oh, I like to use straps so I can really get more work on my back," for a power lifter, it doesn't matter if you can't hold on to the bar. You have to be able to hold on the bar. That's what I feel like about, and that seemed maybe more aggressive than was necessary to answer that question, but I feel very strongly. First, I don't know why. Maybe it's an ego thing. I'm just super anti-straps, potentially unfairly. Lift. I need to get started on these ones. Okay. Tommy Boy, I really appreciate you answering my questions. I watch all your videos, but how can I help support you more? You're my favorite USAPL lifter by far, and I admire your charisma tremendously. I appreciate that very much. It's not like Twitch where you can subscribe or donate. I think in the future we're going to try and turn on the super chat and make it more of an option. The biggest thing that I really like to do is I like to work, and so if you have people, currently I'm still getting caught up on coaching clients. I'm super behind, but the biggest thing to help for now is to, if you like the videos, if you like the content, to share it and promote it. And in the future, I will hopefully have a couple of options for people who feel like they want to help support. I would never ask it. I would never require it. But I want to leave some options for those people. But so far, we're just working with what we have. So right now, I just appreciate the support. And maybe in the future, we'll work on something. Robert, got a question for you, Ben. How's your shoulder doing these days? Do you plan to get surgery on it in the next few years, or are you just going to wait until you're older? Currently, it doesn't really bother me actively. It's more like it doesn't hurt. It doesn't actively hurt. It's just subconsciously when I get fatigued, it fatigues faster, and then it buckles. So it's not that the shoulder's giving out. It's that my body, when I get nervous, loosens up on that side and the shoulder caves. And it's almost more like it's a mental failure than it is a physical one. So currently I'm not looking into surgery for it. Maybe once I'm done with my open lifting, once I'm in like a master's age group or something, we'll see how it's going and if I'm able to strengthen it enough. But currently I'm not looking in surgical options. Tony, how is your experience working with TSA? I know they like doing high volume, high rep work. Well, you used to be an advocate for lower work in the past. It's definitely, Hanny and Eric do have me doing higher rep sets than I would ever program for myself. A lot of times because just the amounts of volume that we're doing now is even more than I would have done in the past. Because in the past I would do, I'd have maybe 20 to 25 working reps in a session for any one of the lifts. And now we're working in much higher volumes. And so yesterday I did 40 working reps of squat, so 5 sets of 8. If I was to break that down into low rep sets, it would just be obscene, the amount of time, because it already takes me a long time to get through it. So I think Izzy Narvaez from Powerlifting to the Win made a very good response to my video when I was talking about lower rep ranges. When you're in volume ranges that you're able to do lower rep work and you have adequate amount of time to train and do that, then I think it is very beneficial to use those lower rep ranges and get the benefit of that higher general weight. I think that because of the volumes that I have to get in now, it makes more sense to break them up into higher rep sets. And it's definitely different. It's definitely a different kind of challenge. I also think that depending on the lifter, the same thing that would be best for you at one stage of your lifting is not always going to be the best for you at a later stage. As my overall absolute weights have gone up, I actually train with relatively lower intensities for the most part than I used to. And I think that's necessary because of the amount of volume I have to get in. And so I think that one of the big things that people miss out on is that they think that you have to work closer to like your RPEs that are the ideal where you should be working in those ranges, that you work in the higher ones as you get more experienced at the sport. But as your absolute weight ability and capability goes up, I think that you have to be able to work in lower submaximal RPE ranges to be able to not have your connective tissue break down. So I actually work much more in lower RPE ranges now to allow me to get adequate volume to continue to progress, because if I worked every single session up in those higher RPE ranges, then it would break me down, and lower rep sets usually would be pushing that envelope a lot more, so I can just handle more volume. That's the long answer. Yes, I'm still an advocate for lower rep work for most lifters. If you have the time to do it, and if you fit in the category of people that are more of like an intermediate level lifter, where you can work in a higher RPE range without having your connective tissue get absolutely destroyed. So I think it's important to have your views evolve with the information you understand and with the level that you're at. Adelson, I saw the squat video of Larry. Looks like he got out of balance, shifted to the knee, and his leg kind of just gave out, but he managed to walk afterwards, so I guess the injury is not too serious. You never know. Again, I hope that it's not serious, but usually when it's not that serious, you see someone at least post the rest of their attempts for a total. The fact that he didn't come back and try to bench or deadlift makes me wonder how injured that is. So again, I want Larry. I would never wish injury on anybody in this sport, and Larry is an incredibly gifted lifter, and he's very strong and a very hard worker, and I wish him a speedy recovery and the best. So we'll see. And to answer the first question you asked about whether I thought it would be feasible for someone at that high of a body weight to set a 10 times body weight total, I think that my general stance on putting limitations on someone's potential is to never do it, because you never know. And to assume and imply your limitations on someone else because of your own current understanding of what is or possible or impossible is not a great way to live your life, because it doesn't benefit you to be able to downplay someone else's capabilities. It doesn't help you. Maybe it makes you feel better to compare, not you specifically, maybe it makes you feel better to compare your own current level to this ideal that you think that no one else could really do what it's possible, like it's impossible to achieve that, and so it's more okay that I can't achieve that thing, but I try to never put limitations on someone else. Eric, must suck being Pete Rubish. His hands freaking tear as soon as he touches the barbell without straps. Yeah, Pete does a lot of volume with his work, and Boxstrass, hello, sir. I respect Pete. I like Pete. I think of him as a friend. I would disagree with Pete's use of straps, and he would probably have a valid argument to give me in response to that. But I would disagree with his use of straps. There are many lifters who I respect and admire as peers and as people that I look up to in the sport who use them, and I am adamantly against them, even though I have those anecdotal evidence of people who have been successful with them. I just do not like them. Jordan, I've had issues with mixed grip, and my grip is not a weak point. I just use it for damage control on my thumb. Sorry for triggering. It's all right, man. It's all right. I think if your issue for mixed grip is something with your lats, I think something I've been working on recently might help with that. Actually, let's see if I can't get one of these. Actually, I'm gonna do my warm-up sets too. We're falling into that bad habit of not keeping track of my times, so. I guess to comment on that, Jordan, I also have problems with the mixed grip, and so doing hook for all of my working sets isn't feasible, but I still practice the mixed grip on my back off work so that I don't have to resort to straps, which if that's not an option for you, like if it's a problem with like bicep tears or something, that's really the reason that I could see it being feasible. If you're a hook grip puller and you can't afford or risk to have an underhand grip for any of your work, then I could see that being the argument. So again, it's something that I recognize that I am potentially uneven on the amount of dislike and or disdain I have for it. It doesn't really fit with the rest of my life philosophy in terms of not worrying about what other people do. But with my own lifting and my own lifters, I am adamantly anti-strap work. Thomas, my long arms are an advantage in the deadlift, but a huge disadvantage in the bench press. Are there any kinds of variations, accessory work, or even mobility work that could be helpful for me? Train your upper body mass. Get a bunch of muscle up here, and up here, and up here, and that is the biggest thing you can do, because I definitely am in the same boat, and I don't have enough upper body mass to make up for my long arms. So do what I have not been able to, and get all strong and get beefy in the upper body. You can see there's a lot of deadlifters who don't look like they lift. There's some squatters who don't really look like they lift. I have yet to see an amazing bench presser who doesn't look like they lift. So I think there's a correlation there. Swat Hiran, what barbell are you using for deadlift, squat, and bench press? The Ohio Power Bar is my working barbell for everything because I lift in the USAPL. It's an IPF affiliate, and so I try to lift with the bar that is closest to that standard, the Ohio Power Bar. If I could afford an Alico, I might look into that, but that's $1,000, and this is a very good stand-in. So this is about $275, which for me was a lot of money at the time, but I think it's worth it because it's very helpful. Jordan, I think we should all send Ben straps for his birthday. Oh, he'd be so triggered. I have a set of something over here. These things, got these from a garage sale when I was young and didn't understand the evil that are straps. They're little hooks, and they work very similarly to straps, but you can actually still hold on to the bar. And I don't use these, but I have them here as a reminder. And if anybody is ever at the gym, I won't discriminate and say you can't use those here. You know, I'll even provide them, but I'm going to judge you the entire time you wear them. So again, it may be unfair. I admit to that. In all seriousness, thanks for your answer. I consider using them less. I don't want to dissuade you if you have something that legitimately needs you to use them, but if you're using them for like your rows and your accessory work, I would highly advise against that, because you can build your grip doing that. You can build your double overhand no hook grip doing that. And you know how Mark Bell always says, strength is never a weakness? Tenfold for your grip. The stronger your grip is, the better you are at strong things. That's just what I would say. Box rush, for those wanting to work on their grip so that isn't a limiting factor, try using a strap on one hand, practicing the hook with the other, and swap each set. It's worked wonders for me in the past. If you are vouching for that, I would say that might be a legitimate answer for it. The other thing I would do is to work on your regular grip. Warm up with the hook grip on your... If you're not an active hook grip user, warm up with the hook on some warm-up sets to train that. People asked me how quickly I switched over to the hook grip, and it moved pretty fast because I've been training using it intermittently for years and years. Just never was confident enough for my heavy sets. And so, don't mention straps. You guys, you silly boys. Not using for anything but deadlifts. Oh, man. If you're a hook grip puller, I can see the case being made. If you have danger biceps, I can see a case being made. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Make Ben watch the SPF strap deadlift division when it comes out. He might cry. See, here's the thing. That's in the division. That wouldn't bug me. Just the same way that I don't get upset when strongmen use straps, because it's in their sport. It's in the sport to do that. And so I can see someone making that case. But if you're a competitive powerlifter, it doesn't make sense for me that you would ever stop training one of the biggest limiting factors for that lift. Look at him judge. I'm so judgy. But I wouldn't judge in those cases. So boom, put that in your syringe and inject it. Strong men, boys, big man boys. That's what they are. All right, I need to still keep warming this up. You guys got me distracted with the triggering strap talk. That's that little underhand lat cue that I've been working on so that my over-under back-off work isn't as horrible. And I do all of my conventionals over-under because I don't want to waste my thumbs on this lift. Except for the warm-ups. They're just double overhand with no hook. Not bad. I'm definitely taking my sweet time getting to them. Jordan, I just use this topic as a way to increase Ben's adrenaline to give him a better workout. You're welcome in advance. Oh, boy. You guys. Addison, can you do one speed pull with like 315? Why? Why would I do that? It's like 30%. Not 30%. That'd be a crazy deadlift. Like 40% or something. Robert, we already found the first Twitch emote for Ben's Twitch stream, judgmental strap face emoji. If we go to Twitch, boys, if we go to Twitch, which I'd like to do, I just don't think I have the audience for it yet. It'd be real fun to have some emotes, make it a more common thing, expand the brand, as it were. Jordan, please do a warm-up set with the hook things. I want to see the pain in your eyes. 405 if it's not feeling horrible, or if it's not feeling good with the regular double overhand grip, then I usually just slip the thumb in. Just slip it in there to not have to switch just yet. Box Ross, do you do muscle-ups anymore as assistance work? No. For a long time I did them it was mostly because I was egotistical. Honestly, it was a higher risk, especially for my bad shoulder. And occasionally I do them. After the minute meet that I did, the week after the Arnold, I came and did what I called a couple of strength stunts. They have nothing to do with my regular training. I planned them in advance to just try and do something fun that's abnormal to keep me from getting too hyphy in my normal training. And I did the 800-pound deadlift in here, or in the old garage, and then I went to the rec center, brought in the Ohio so that I could hold on to the bar because they don't allow chalk anymore, then brought chalk anyway. And I did the 1,700-pound total in under a minute. And that was a 615 squat with a wobbly bar, a 365 bench, and a 720 dead. And then afterwards I did a set of like 7 muscle-ups. So I can still do them. I just they don't make sense for my training, honestly. I do chins, I do rows, I do a lot of stuff to work on positioning. But just in terms of the risk to reward benefits, they're cool, but they don't really help a whole lot with what I'm trying to do. So, Lemieux, VG, hey Ben, hey, welcome back, sir. I've been having an existential crisis with my squat. I believe I have extremely similar limb length to John Hack, which is sort of similar to you in terms of femurs lengths a little. Just analyzing his biomechanics, I'm actually seeing a great benefit, reason, and maybe advantage for his mid-bar position combined with his style. That being said, do you believe Hack could squat more low bar? John Hack is an extreme mystery to me. I do not understand how he squats the way he squats. I've tried to figure it out. And I don't get it. The amount of forward knee travel he has is literally amazing to me. I am in awe and wonder at how he does what he does. I don't know. I don't know how he does it. So it would be very arrogant of me to assume that I would make a change to his technique that would be more beneficial because of the level of success he's found with that. I can't help. I don't know. I plead the fifth on that. I'd get myself into trouble if I tried to answer that in a way. I can't be diplomatic with that answer. It would be completely based off of my opinion and not off of anything, because the evidence suggests that is the best way for him to squat, because otherwise I feel like he would have tried something else and had it work better. So that's my answer for that. I need to load up the bar. Do another set here. Guess that's close-ish to a speed-ish rep. Ish. turn on the camera over here. What we working with. Also, I never wear a belt for these, so Hanny, if you ever watch one of these, just imagine I'm wearing a belt. He doesn't like when I do it. Jordan, I like to deadlift in bare feet. I have ankles that pronate more than usual. Do you see this as giving me any issues in the future? No ankle issues at this stage. I would, the biggest issue I'd say that seems to happen is the arch degradation. That can happen if you have no arch support, but a lot of lifters do their deadlifts without any kind of arch support anyway. I normally wear insoles for my shoes. I don't wear them in my deadlift shoes. So, if you have an issue with it, then that's, yeah, I don't know, man. If you're not having an issue with it at this stage, I see a lot of people who successfully deadlift with no negative repercussions with an unsupported arch. And if you're able to combat your ankle positions, I guess, yeah, if your ankles are fine, then you should be okay. If Chris Duffin can deadlift 1,000 pounds barefoot, then I think that you might be all right with barefooted deads. Sebastian, thank you for being honest with hack squat. I'm not getting it for years too. I'm amazed by it. I don't get it. It's like when I see Jesse Norris's training and I try to understand how he is the way he is in terms of his strength. Some people are amazing. John Hack literally broke Ben. No, I just think that any opinion I would have would be purely opinion, and it would be. I don't think it's fair to imagine that I have all the answers 100% of the time with everybody. Oh no, not again. Stream, no. Come on, stick with me. Don't play this game. All right, I think we made it through. That was a scary moment. The OBS turned from green to red. Robert Oben, I know you mentioned this in... Oh, sorry. Sawat Haran. When will we be heading to Seattle or Washington next to train? I live in Washington. I live in Western Washington right now. Montesano specifically. I'm planning on moving to Kent and or the I-5 corridor within the next 6 to 8 months. Did the stream get that? Or did it go away? Come on, OBS. Yellow, green. I wonder what's causing it. We're getting a whole lot of chugging. Video output's very low. I'm thinking it's my computer, guys. I'm thinking